I've come away from this weekend with just the overriding thought, I don't even have a brother, let alone one that can help propel me to PGA's Tour status. Wow. What a weekend. What a weekend for the Fitzpatrick brothers. All joking aside, Alex has clearly shown, after the first few years of him competing, of everyone sort of going, this isn't right, this isn't how it should be, you shouldn't be able to propel your brother onto the PGA Tour, and all that nonsense that was being talked about, and shown clearly in his game, Alex's game, that he is a top quality golfer, deserving of PGA Tour status. And congratulations to him. Congratulations to Matt as well on what has been quite the run. And you know what? In a world where it's hard to find good news sometimes, right? It's hard to find some nice, positive stuff on your news feed. To see two brothers embracing on the 18th green, knowing that for one of them it's changed their lives, for the other one it's continued to cement their legacy, really was something special. So, hey, you know, I may not have a brother. I've got sisters. They're fine. They're great, I guess. You know, I'm sorry if they're listening. They're probably not. You know, but they can't give me that, can they? So it is what it is. But pretty incredible. Pretty incredible. Other things that happened, Nelly Corda won the Chevron, I believe it's called, which is, of course, the first major, I believe, of the year for the women. So pretty cool. Pretty cool indeed. Jumped into essentially an ice bath. I think that tournament has like a funny history where the winner jumped into the body of water, so the lake, but the course changed, and now the players wanted to keep the tradition going, which is great. Golf is about tradition. Brilliant for the ladies' game that they wanted to cement that as part of it. I've said cement twice now, so that's my cement count out for the day. I can't say that anymore. But pretty cool. But the course didn't have time to put a pond in, which they are going to do for next year. They're going to put a lake in, which is pretty incredible. So they just sort of put like this tarp down and dug a hole and filled it with water. So Nelly Corda won and then worked on her recovery straight afterwards, which is pretty incredible. So that's what's happened in the world of golf. In the world of the Birdie Golf Club podcast, we've changed logo, which you might have seen, top left corner right now as you're looking at it. That's the new logo up there. We continue to have the great theme music, which I'm going to stop mentioning now. I'm just quite proud of it. And let's just say some equipment has started arriving this week. You might be able to see it in the background just here. Shall I give you a little tease? Ooh. Would you say that's first major of the year themed? I certainly would. Head over to the Instagram for the slow reveal of that. I'm going to keep that one going. So thanks very much to the Strixon team for getting that in the works, and we continue to be excited by that. My competitive juices are flowing. I'm feeling like my game is getting to where I want it to be, which is pretty exciting as well. And yeah, not a few weeks away from the golf trip, which would have been basically the build up to the first year of the Birdie Golf Club podcast. Would have been all about the golf trip, and it's coming up, and I'm getting ready for it, and now we're back to it this year, and not much has really been said about it, which shows the times are a-changing. But I'm looking forward to it. Heading back to Rodway. It's going to be great. Going to get the boys going on that. Team Tigers, Team Bears. It's going to be lots of fun. But you know what? This week on the Birdie Golf Club podcast, we are talking to Coach Mark Leon. And a little while back, I think I said the phrase, I don't really fully understand the college system. That's what I said, and I truly meant it. Like, I get that it's amazing. I get that it clearly works at creating some amazing golfers. But over here in the UK, we're a little bit ignorant to how it all works. Like, what is college golf? Like, what does it look like if you're joining a college team, if you're part of a team, if you're a head coach like Mark is, what is being put in place to make these guys excel at the top level? And I'm really excited to talk to Mark this week and being able to basically say, Mark, explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old, because that's kind of where my knowledge is on it. So really looking forward to that. I hope you are too. It's going to be a really great episode. I think that's pretty much it. So we're just gonna crack straight into it, into our conversation right now with Mark Leon, who is head coach at Penn State University. How are you?
Yeah,
How's your day?
I'm good, man. We got we're traveling across the country tomorrow, so today's just busy day getting some things together. We actually have like this awards banquet tonight for the whole athletic department. So it's a fun thing to do, but with the
Sure.
flight to Portland, it's like, yeah, this would have been awesome on a different day. Yeah.
It's going to be a little bit of a lighter evening, yeah, because of that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I'm like, left my office, come home, gotta still pack and all of that stuff, and a couple last minute meetings and sessions with a few of the boys, and then off we go to Big Tens.
Amazing. Well, Mark, thank you so much for taking the time out
No
and
worries,
doing the
no
podcast.
worries. Yeah.
I said a few weeks ago on the podcast, and it was amazing then that we just sort of happened to sort of come across each other on Instagram afterwards, because I said I've been looking to speak to someone involved in the college system in the US, because I don't know if it's just me, but over here in the UK we're completely ignorant to what that even looks like. We hear about it, we see the products of the college system obviously coming through in the top level of the game, but we don't necessarily fully understand what it involves and like the scale of it. So I want you to spell it out to me like I'm 5 years old. Okay.
Okay. It's funny actually. So I'm not American. Let's start with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm Canadian. So I look at this whole system. Obviously, we share a land border, so it's something that as kids we play junior golf in America. We compete against the American kids, but I would say even still with all the information, with all the Canadian kids that have played in the system over the past 50 years, it amazes me from my seat now how much a lot of the kids end up not knowing about the process. It was funny when I coached at Florida Atlantic. I had two GB&I kids. So I had Alex McGuire, who ended up playing in the Walker Cup, and he played in the Open, and he's in a professional career right now. And I had Jake Hibbert, a Cheshire kid, and it blew my mind when Alex told me he had like a lot of the Irish kids, because you just see the people that come over here and have a big impact. And Alex was kind of saying how it's not something that you really think about doing in Ireland. But everybody's so quick to pump up, if you have a Luke Donald or you have, Barkley Brown, and like these amazing players in your program, and then these places like East Tennessee State will create these pipelines where it just seems like every year there's a good GB&I kid coming in, or, now you have like Texas Tech with the Swedes and the Norwegians and like these continental European kids, Scandinavian kids that come over. So you just think like, oh yeah, like they know what's going on, but you realize in many cases they don't. I guess one story for your audience that you would appreciate. So I've been doing it 15 years. And, you basically when you start the recruiting process, like from a coach's standpoint, we're going to look at either data, or we're going to go to tournaments and watch kids, right? So it's going to, the recruitment process is going to start with, you go to a golf course with an idea of who you want to watch. And then while you're there, you evaluate who you can. And so in the 15 years doing it, you meet all these different parents, you meet all these different families, the ones that play for you, and even kids that you'll take all this time to to go through that process. And then at the end, you'll get there and they'll just say, hey, no, I'm going to go to Iowa or this other school. So you meet all these people. And my last year working at the University of Florida, one of the most interesting visits that I've ever had, the most interesting parents that I've met was Ian Poulter. And we recruited Luke Poulter. And at the time, Luke was generally like a very under the radar junior golfer because he has a huge family. He's got a number of siblings, and Ian was gone all the time. So, with Luke's mom, she was not able to take him around and play tournaments like the other kids in Florida. So he just kind of like played golf at the club. And as he showed more promise, Ian really fast-tracked him at the end of his junior golf career. And they hired almost like a private coach, a chaperone. And his name was Andrew Losey. And he took him around, he coached him, and he took him around the country to all the tournaments while Ian was on tour. And Luke got pretty good. So we had him in on a visit. So the whole family comes, and it was amazing because we're walking around the University of Florida and all these big facilities like and I guess I'd never really thought of it outside in a professional sports scale, but we got about halfway through the visit and Ian just, he kind of pulled me aside at the academic center and he's like, I always thought these Americans with these big universities, like it just didn't make any sense to me. It was like they just the way that they attach to them. I didn't understand it. He goes, but I get this. He was like, this is like being part of Manchester United. Like this is a monster operation. And throughout the whole day of all these, so many parents, they want to know like what you're going to do for their kids. What do their kids get? And what was hilarious about Ian, here's this guy that is, one of the best players on earth. And he kept telling his son the whole day, he understood the monetary value of all the services that were offered to a student athlete. So, when we went in and we brought him into an athletic training room, and Becca, our trainer at the time, she was like, yeah, so I'm here every day. You get out of class, go have lunch. And if you want to come for any treatment before you go to practice, you can come see me. And Ian's like, whoa, hold on. Luke can just come in and see her for nothing? Like every day? I was like, yeah, she was like, yes, Mr. Poulter, that's my job. And he just looks at her and he goes, Becca, do you know what you cost on tour? And she's like, please tell me. And he's like, you'd be like $3,000 a week for every player that you service. So Ian looked at everything like the professional athlete that he is and understood the monetary value of the insane level of support at a big American university. Like, I mean, at Penn State, we just created this new facility. My athletic director was super bullish on it, and he raised a bunch of money and he built it. And it's insane. It's called the Greenberg Sports Performance Center and the Greenberg. We have like here they call it a training table. So it's an athletes only dining hall, the performance kitchen. And you go into this building and the top floor is a private chef run dining room for all of the 880 student athletes at Penn State. You finish your meal, you walk downstairs. They have hot tub, cold tub, sauna, steam, red light therapy, float tanks, hyperbaric chambers. It's a spa. They built a recovery spa in the basement of this facility for all the student athletes to be able to go and recover from their travel and their workouts. And, we have a kid, unfortunately broke his wrist this week. So he's in the hyperbaric chamber 3 days a week, because that's something that our medical staff has found, that hyperbaric chambers, one of their benefits is, early in the process of breaking bones and speeding up the rehab process. So it's just, those are the types of things. Like it's with the facilities, there's been a huge facilities push, I would say, in the past 15, 20 years. But it just, like, I graduated in 2005. Everything just seems to be moving at a fast pace. And in the world of golf, the quality of tournaments are incredible. I think for kids overseas, if you're thinking about what the value of college golf would be, if I was a European kid and thinking, well, do I want to try and just have at it and go as a pro, or do I want to come over and play in America? You're playing 10 to 11 tournaments a year, depending on the program that you're playing for, that, the quality of fields and the quality of venues, they're kind of at a professional golf level. Like I played on what's now PGA Tour Americas. So it was the Canadian Tour back when I played on it. But if I was to go through our schedule, or if I was to go through the PGA Tour Americas schedule right now, and I was to go through like Penn State's schedule, Penn State plays better venues than PGA Tour Americas. And I would probably not close. Like it's not even close. And then we're still a program that's building. If you were to go into like the top, it's funny actually, like when I was at Florida, we had a kid that graduated, played on PGA Tour Americas, and he came back and he said, this didn't prepare me for the next step. And I was just like, well, his name was JD Tomlinson. I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, well, we're playing all PGA Tour golf courses at University of Florida. We're playing these courses where if I shoot 2 under par, that's phenomenal. And I'm going to be one of the best players in the country if I average 2 under par. If I average 2 under par on the PGA Tour Canada, I lose my job. I'll miss every cut. So, out there, you're having these routine cuts of 5 and 6 and 7 under par, and it's just these wild shootouts. So yeah, like I think that the best programs in college golf, and now the PGA Tour has gotten involved with PGA Tour University, like college golf has improved so much that now the PGA Tour has gotten involved to make direct pathways for the best players. That is, that's wild when you consider the growth in the 20 years since I played, that's happening out here now.
It is amazing because, like I said, over here, we just don't. The only affiliation that made sense to me is what you said there about when Ian Poulter said, this is like Manchester United. That makes the most sense because we attach like academia separately to the idea of like a team. It doesn't really mix over here. It's like one and another thing. But that makes complete sense of the idea that they're basically integral to each other. And I think when people hear the word college, they can't imagine that kind of situation. Like that's,
it's intense, man. Like I will say, like for the kids, it's basically like being a student. You are a student, and then the sport is a full-time job. So I think and there's two parts to that. I think one thing that we take a lot of pride in with the system, and as the system's kind of under attack right now with all of the big money and these ideas of revenue sharing, and you have our like American football players and basketball players. Some of them are making $3 or $4 million a year, which that's a separate debate entirely. But the value of the system, in my opinion, is the quality of people it creates. So over here in America, like if you're running a hedge fund, or if you're running a bank and you're in finance, or whatever, any area of business, American business owners like to hire college athletes because they've been able to get their degree while also maintaining this full-time job. But then the job is also hyper competitive. So their ability to compartmentalize, deal with a tremendous amount of stress, the same academic stress as any student, but then also this athletic stress where it's creating people that are exceptionally prepared to go on and be successful. And that's where I'll also say, like, there are so many, versus Canada, there's so many universities in America. So there's so many different types of programs. There are smaller, we call it Division I, Division II, Division III, and then there's another division called NAIA and junior college. But Division III are kind of like the small elite schools that probably do things more like Canada or Britain, where you play on a team. It's awesome. It's maybe not quite as competitive. But a lot of the time, those are like really small and elite academic universities. Once you get to the Division I level, it gets really muddied because you have your Ivy League schools, which are like the best schools on the planet, your Harvard, Princeton, Yale, and those kids it's really hard for them to keep up their golf games there. But then when you go to some of these other schools like, a Stanford, Northwestern, Duke, Vanderbilt, some of these schools are super, super high academic, but they're also insanely cutthroat athletic. So the balancing act that those kids have to do to be successful, Penn State's a really good academic school. So you just see, your ability to manage your time and there's a lot of fun things to do on American campuses too. It's like the party scenes. We had this amazing academic advisor when I was in school named Mark Heinisch, and he used to tell every kid on our visits, there's 40,000 students here. I call that 40,000 distractions. And he's right. And you could, if you forget why you came here, you can get into a lot of trouble and you can really lose your way. But if you're able to navigate it, you go and you play professional golf. There's a lot of distractions out there too. And a lot of the same things that will wreck careers professionally. They'll wreck some promising kids that come to college and they get away from mommy and daddy for the first time, and they can get into some trouble, man.
I was going to say to you, because you said obviously that the college system builds first and foremost the people that they're going to become, rather than necessarily the golfer they're going to become. When somebody comes to you, and say you had Luke Poulter who came and looked around, and you've had obviously lots of other athletes as well. Do you look at that person and perhaps their behaviour, the way they talk to people, the way they talk to their parents, all those, does that come into account on when they're going to be accepted or not?
100%. So it's funny, actually. There's one of our legendary American coaches, his name's Mike McGraw. He coached Oklahoma State and Baylor. So he's coached God knows how many tour players. Mike's a tremendous guy. And he actually wrote a book with, I think it was called Better Than I Found It, probably released maybe 5 or 6 years ago. So I bought it, I read it, because I want to know everything I can about this legend of the industry. And one of his tricks in recruiting that he talked about in the book was that he would go to golf courses and he would just park in the corner of the parking lot before anybody got there. And he waited to see the kid that he was there to see, or the kids that he was there to see. He wanted to see them get out of the car and interact with their parents. And just that first interaction, like, how are you starting the day? Are you taking care of your own stuff? Or are your parents doing everything for you? Or do you have ownership over what you're doing? So 100%. Everybody has different ways. Everybody's got, a different set of expectations, or there's certain people that want different things. Like, I've had certain people that have told me they've seen a kid slam a club and they're like, well, he's out for me. I'm thinking, well, that actually is not, for me, that's not a deal breaker. Now, if I see the kid mouth off to his mother, that's a deal breaker for me. But like a little bit of anger, I'm okay. How they treat volunteers, how they interact with their playing partners. Like you're definitely looking at a lot of other things other than just the golf. It's tremendously important.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's going to be a knock-on effect, right? Because you can only do so much within that system to build the person. If it's been entrenched from the start that they're the most important person in the world and everything they want to do, they get to do. I can imagine that would be an absolute nightmare. To go. I was going to. Oh, sorry, Mark. Go on.
No. I was going to say, it was really interesting. I read a Charlie Hall quote yesterday, and she was just talking about how difficult it was for her to play in the Solheim Cup because of how much of an individual she is. So she's just like, I want to eat when I want to eat. I want to practice when I want to practice. Like, she just wants to do things when she wants to do things. And I do think that is like one of the largest balancing acts in coaching golf. And I've been fortunate to work for 3 different schools. There are certain teams that basically take the golfers and run it like another sport. So you might run it like a football team where everybody's doing everything together, and you're training together, and you're eating together, and you do everything as a group all the time. And then you have other teams that they understand the individual nature of golf, and they try to treat, whether it's 8 or 9 or 10 kids on the team, they treat each kid individually different. They let them practice the way that they want to practice. I think that's part of the balancing act. You have to get these kids that are playing an individual sport to come together and compete as a team. So what I've found in talking to other college golf coaches is each program is wildly different in how they do it. Whether you might lift weights in the morning or in the evening, you might practice in the morning or in the evening. Some teams, they don't even have organized practice at all. They'll just schedule qualifying and workouts, and each kid kind of will practice on their own. You may have coaches that know a lot about golf and get highly involved. You have other people that, they're really good at fundraising, and they just recruit great kids, and then they let them go about their process, and then they just play the best ones. So I think that's another weird thing that people would find weird is the role of a college golf coach and what they do. And I would say that role's probably changed a lot in the last 20 years. I think it's not uncommon if you look at a tour player now that they have, maybe like a handful of people on their team, right? It's going to be their trainer and their mental coach and their putting coach and their swing coach. So it's like, for a lot of us, especially the more elite of a kid that you recruit, as the college golf coach, you have to find your lane now with your kids. Like, where can I think that's the number one thing when I get a kid coming in is I just kind of ask myself, what does this kid need? Where can I help? And then try to be honest with myself. Where am I not equipped to help? Or who do I know that can do a better job in this area that kid needs than me?
Yeah. And that must be difficult as well, because I know you were talking about earlier with the obviously the NBA and the American football and everything was kind of ahead in many ways with the way they were structuring things. And obviously it's brought the positive to the golf space of the recovery and the workouts and the structure and the organization of it all, the opportunities with sponsors and stuff. But equally, is that quite a difficult balancing act in itself as well now? Because all that is kind of starting to filter down to these kids that may not be quite ready for these bigger steps. And now you're seeing it happen in the game of golf. How's that?
Yeah, gosh. At the top, I would say like it hasn't really affected us massively in our conference in the Big Ten. There's probably a couple of players and a few people, but during my time at UF, which, working for my buddy JC Deacon, we both grew up in Toronto together, and JC's got one of the top 5 programs in the country right now. So I was only his assistant for 4 years, and I think I coached probably 4 to 5 guys that have either played on the DP World Tour or the PGA Tour in just that little window. Man, it was wild. Like, you have agents, you have all these people that are just like around the program, and you have wild access to like some of the instructors that I was able to meet working for Florida, and they're working with our 14 and 15-year-old recruits. It was just wild, the doors that opened. But then you do look at these kids sometimes and you're like, God, this is a lot of stress on a 16-year-old. And sometimes it molds them and they're able to withstand it, and they're now stars on the global stage. And sometimes they get crushed and it's just too much, and it can be too much too soon. So I think that's the thing. Like, golf it's this incredible game. It's all sports are. I mean, everybody gets into a sport not because they're trying to make money. And then that's something that if you get really good, it kind of comes with the territory later. But it's weird because it always used to just be about getting into the best program that you possibly can. And then like, oh, am I getting into great amateur tournaments? Am I, for the last 20 years, it's like, what club equipment company is sponsoring you? And are you getting free gear? Now there's this different financial component to it that, kids are coming to, like, they have agents, when they're kids, like they have agents, and then the agents are maybe negotiating some of those deals. But at the same time, the paradox of it all is that where the hell's the money in college golf? Like, we're not televised.
Sure.
Right. So it's to me, it's like, it's college golf is one of the weirdest entities in American sport, where you've got a kid like Jackson Koiven right now at Auburn, that if you look at the data golf, and he is like a top 20 professional golfer in the world. Yeah. And he just happens to be playing for Auburn University. But if, like, I have a kid who's 10 and he's into different sports, but I'd taken him to all these college golf tournaments. And when we lived in Jupiter and I worked at Florida Atlantic, I took him to the Honda Classic, and he was just not used to standing behind the ropes. He's not used to not being right up on the range with the guys. And I tell people all the time, like, if you were to go to one of the top 10 elite amateur college golf tournaments, Southern Highlands in Vegas, or Olympia Fields that University of Illinois hosts. We're trying to get our tournament in Canada to be one of those tournaments. You can just take your kid right out onto the driving range, like, talk to these guys. And that's kind of, when we were pitching the tournament to people in Canada, that was one of those things. It's like, look, you're going to have kids that'll play this tournament. They might skip the Canadian Open for the next decade. Like, a kid like Koiven may, he may be such a big star that, like, you don't get him to come back here to Canada, period. So it's this weird thing, because kids are asking for money. I think the money is, I don't really understand where the money is. I guess it's probably in these, 15 or 20 special players that are going to project on to be stars. But it's kind of this weird dance that is taking place with, select programs, elite kids, agents, but then it filters down into and then it's also like this black market where nobody knows what anybody's getting paid. It's not like Premier League football or American football, where you see the salaries flash on the ticker and they're publicly available. So you end up in the recruiting process with these kids that are, sometimes fairly mediocre. And they're like, so what can you do for me with my name, image, and likeness? It's like, really, bro? Like, let's just try to keep shooting under par. Like, what income are you generating for my university that puts 110,000 people in the football stadium? Like, it's really clouded. It's clouded the environment, and I honest to God, I don't fully understand it. Sometimes, like, I look around, I'm like, wait, what's going on?
How does this work?
I don't get it.
That is the world of golf right now. It's sort of got that feeling about it, doesn't it? Where it's just like,
I know.
I mean, you look at the increases in purses across the board. Even taking LIV out of the equation, PGA Tour and everything that's going on. Obviously, fantastic for the guys at the top of the game, and the filter down effect of that. But you sort of look and think, I hope this is sustainable. I hope that continues to be okay. But is it? We just don't know, do we? And it's crazy to hear that. I mean, I sort of kind of expected that might have been the case with what I see going on sort of elsewhere and everything as well. But it's just a fascinating insight, and I'm quite glad that you're not quite sure exactly how that works either. That makes me feel a lot better.
Yeah, I will say, I do think that LIV definitely expedited the process for college golf getting connected with the PGA Tour. I could be completely wrong, but I don't think I am. For years, I mean, it was amateur golf was amateur golf, professional golf was professional golf. You know, you have agents that are conduits to, you know, you get a Tiger Woods, or he's gonna sign with an agency and they're gonna get him, you know, 7 or 8 sponsors exemptions, but that was it. Like, that was kind of as far as it would go, right? Like, the PGA Tour dictated how many sponsors invites you were going to get, and very few guys over the years, Tiger, maybe Ryan Moore, I can't remember if Mahan did it, but there very few guys got those starts and parlayed it into enough money to be a full PGA Tour member the following year. And now I think with LIV coming along and just signing some really, really high profile college kids, the PGA Tour, I mean, even just they've pivoted off of the original idea behind PGA Tour U was that it was going to be graduating seniors. It was that if you stay at a school for 4 years, you're going to be able to go and get a PGA Tour card. And then all of a sudden, LIV is coming in, boom, they're signing a couple really big time dudes. And I think especially globally, LIV has massive appeal, because I remember when I was a little kid, I fell in love with the game before Tiger. But I was part of that Tiger boom generation. I'm 44. And I remember, though, like, I loved Nick Faldo. And you didn't get to watch Nick Faldo unless it was a major, because he played on the European Tour with Longer and all of this other set of guys. So it's weird. It's almost like pro golf has turned back into this 80s and 90s golf where there was a separation of the tour, and Tiger was this vacuum that kind of has been pulling people into America, and more people playing over here. But yeah, I think that was LIV really capitalized on coming over to these big programs in the United States and realizing, hey, this team is affiliated with this country, and that kid at Arizona State, we're going to go get him. That kid at Oklahoma State, we're going to get him. And I mean, you pull a dump truck of money up to a kid in college. And by the way, more than that, like, I know there was a great player from our conference that signed with Mickelson's team. Like, the opportunity to be mentored, right? He's a USAM winner, James Pyatt, a great kid out of Michigan State. You know, for him, the opportunity to go fly around and be mentored as a young pro by Phil Mickelson, I mean, that's incredible. So, So I think the PGA Tour, they've pivoted to create their accelerated program, to try and create more pathways now. Where it's so funny how fast the change has happened. 5-6 years ago is when I was working with JC. We were recruiting these really young kids, and these people like Sam Horsfield, that they were getting paid to leave school. They could get big contracts to leave school. Now the PGA Tour U has incentive, and combined with the fact that kids can take money now through NIL or revenue sharing, they can get paid, stay in school, play these tournaments, and when they get enough of these accelerated points, they just have a job on tour, which that's never existed before. You never knew. As soon as you left, you had to go earn it all over again in those 8 starts or a Q school. So the linking of, it's going to be interesting to see the next 20 years of college golf, because there is a more of an interconnectedness between college golf and pro golf than there ever has been.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think you've seen that. I think that's a great point with the LIV accelerating things. You've seen that almost across the game, and then clearly as well in the college system as well, that kind of PGA Tour's been kind of forced into moving faster.
Yes.
Because it's just been notoriously slow at moving, right, and to make change. And I think that can only be a good thing. It's going to be fascinating to see how it pans out with whatever happens with LIV, and hopefully for the guys, especially the college guys, the guys that play the game for years, you kind of look at it and go, they're going to be fine. Like, they're going to be fine. But these college athletes that have come and signed for the different teams, you really hope for them that it is going to work out, that there's going to be something there for them, and they're not going to be left out in the dark. And I think LIV, however this pans out, however history decides to look upon the LIV golf scene, the one thing that it has done there's been a lot of positive change that's happened afterwards. I think bang
Oh,
on
for
with that.
sure. For sure.
Yeah.
And some negative, like I mean, I know from talking to some of my kids that I've coached they're trying their hand at it now. Like it's just it's harder to get starts with these limited fields. And
Yeah.
I'll never I'll never forget, we were playing a tournament in Vegas, and Dudley Hart, who played 20 years on the PGA Tour, now he's the assistant at University of Florida. But him and JC was having a baby, and we went to Vegas together. And so he filled in while JC was having his daughter, and I played head coach for the week, and Dudley was the assistant coach. And we're walking through the men's grill, and there was, it was like a secondary tournament. Like, I forget, it was like Puerto Rico or Tahoe, one of the events, the off-field events. And these three kids are watching it, and I'm walking there with Dudley, and the one kid turns to the other kid, and he's like, "Well, what event is this?" And he's like, it's one of those crappy events." And Dudley you could just see like the steam come out of his ears. He's like, "Crappy events? You'll be lucky to ever play in one of those crappy events," And but it's true. Like the more that you start to like have these elevated events. I like both sides of it. I like to turn on a major. Sorry, I just had to grab something out of my kitchen, a charger. I love what, you want to see a major, you want to see the Masters, you want to see Rory, battle with the best guys in golf at the Masters. That's amazing. But it also is amazing to watch Puerto Rico or events in Milwaukee or Connecticut and see somebody that gets their first win, or see somebody that's battled for so long. Like the other sports, they don't offer that the way that golf does. I mean, your window to compete is so small. Like you're not just going to have some 44-year-old guy that like had another career and had this second wind kind of come back, and this guy like flamed out on the mini tours, and then he was a club pro for a few years, and now here he is, at age 38 or something, winning his first time. Like that, golf is the only sport that can do that and can give you that. And I think that's the thing they got to be careful of, is you want those fresh people, you want those fresh stories. And I think the meritocracy aspect of the PGA Tour is part of what always made it special. And I hope it doesn't turn into this weird old boys club, like closed shop, where you can just get into elevated events and play half-ass mediocre, but you're just getting so many points that you never lose your job, but you're really not performing at that capacity anymore.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely.
They've got to manage that.
You may have already seen from the wonderful display behind me that I have partnered with Painter as the official footwear sponsor of the Birdie Golf Club podcast, and I am so happy to have done that. Painter golf shoes are incredibly comfortable, first and foremost. Take it from me, I am fussy, and I've got funny feet as well. And the Painter golf shoes fit me perfectly and are extremely comfortable, but also they are just full of tech to be able to empower you to play the best golf possible. Painter believe in walking the course, and as somebody that enjoys conversations, enjoys the environment of golf, walking the course is the best way to do that, and you get to fully experience golf as it was intended. You can't do that if you're not in comfortable footwear. Painter are giving you the ability to do that week in, week out, round in, round out. So head over to paintergolf.co.uk and make sure to use the code Birdie Golf Club Podcast, and that will get you 15% off these selected collections, and they're one of the best collections available anyway. Speed Classic, the Jason Day inspired and helped create golf shoe. The Sport Classic and the Reserve Classic, inspired and helped by Min Woo Lee. Head over to paintergolf.co.uk, get yourself the best golf shoes in the game, and look incredible whilst you do it, so you can go on and walk the course. Right here in my hand is the ShotScope LM1, which is available right now on the ShotScope website. In fact, it may be sold out at this moment in time. You have to bookmark it and then come back to it when it's back in stock, because it is by far the most popular product in the 2026 catalogue on ShotScope and just throughout the golfing industry. And the reason being, this product here is a launch monitor that is £200. and it is super accurate. I literally took shipment of mine and took it straight to my practice area and was hitting shots, getting accurate feedback, which also links to the app, which is subscription free. It's very exciting. I feel like it's going to level up my practice this year, and I want it to level up your practice as well. So make sure, if you haven't already, bookmark the page, get ready for when it is back in stock. It may be back in stock right now when you're listening to this. Shotscope.com, make sure you pick up the LM1. You can use the code Birdie Golf Club across all the other products on the ShotScope website, but the LM1 is not included in the Birdie Golf Club 15% discount. But you know what? I don't care. I want you guys to get this. £200 is incredible value. It's £199, and it will transform your practice. And if you want to pick up a watch, a rangefinder, whatever it may be, they're the best products in the golfing market when it comes to golf tech. Head over, get your ShotScope products, get the LM1, level up your game this year, and do it with ShotScope, who empower golfers. They're a golfer-first company. Let's head back to the episode.
Social media has been really good for recruiting. Like, you can learn way more about kids all over the world. So that's been, to me, that's been a massive positive with, especially with Instagram, like that. Kids, I think kids, if they want to play golf, college golf in the United States, they have to learn that as soon as they open up one of those accounts, they are like that's an advertisement for coaches. We're going on, we're looking at all of your tagged photos, we're looking at the videos you put up, and we're equating that content with who you are as a person. You know, if a kid, if a kid goes on and it's just nothing but golf all the time, just posts of him playing, practicing, it tells the story. And it may be a story that really appeals to certain coaches, and it may not appeal to other coaches. Like, I don't know, but it's definitely something that you can reach anybody in the world at the click of a button now. So that's been a big thing. As far as, I don't know, I think the kids monetizing their social media, that becomes more of it's kind of more of like an N=1 situation, where if you go across each athletic department, there may be kids that, like, I mean, at our school, I think there's one of our biggest social media followings. It's a men's gymnast. It's not like it's just your most high profile athletes. Sometimes now kids are showing up with a social media following that they've cultivated in high school, and then they're showing up on campus. And I think the difference is now, and they don't have to stifle it because the rules have changed. And a couple of years ago, they wouldn't have been able to monetize it.
Sure.
But it's not something, it's definitely not something that I'm seeing on my team.
Okay, yeah.
Where guys are like,
I guess it's like those buckets that you were talking about of time allocation and everything like that. Because does it fall into the social bucket? It's kind of it's like a grey zone, isn't it? Of, especially if there's almost a pressure that they feel that they have to get content out or whatever it might be to appease the followers. And I can just imagine it's another thing to kind of monitor and just make sure that everyone's focused on the important things, which is, like you said, being a good, well-rounded human being.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of famous. The kid that was just #1 in the NFL draft, Mendoza, that he's a quarterback from Indiana. But he can't, I think he had no social media accounts except for LinkedIn. So that was kind of his way of plugging and just, but it's like, I think that's the thing with golf, is it's still, you're not under the same microscope, versus there's certain kids, they're so high profile here. Like, if you attend a big state university like Penn State or Michigan, and you're the starting quarterback, I don't know how you would manage a social media account, because if you win on the weekend, great. But if you lose, you're just going to take so much abuse online. And I think that's, I don't know. I mean, you never want anybody to take any verbal abuse, but I guess every professional athlete out there, they have that responsibility, or they have that decision to make. Like, you don't, that's the good and the bad, right? Like, you can monetize it and you can make a bunch of money. It's like Bryson, like he wants to pump all this stuff on his YouTube, and that's awesome. But it's awesome to have the eyes on you and you're making money. But then if you just go postal on turf conditions in Mexico, well, then that's the downside of it, right? So yeah, like
that was a great clip. That was such a good clip.
Yeah, it
The
was
clip
amazing.
of, we've got to do something about this. It's just brilliant. That's every single person on a golf course in the UK, basically. That's how we feel.
Yeah.
Mark, like, I know you've got like a really busy schedule, and you're traveling and you've got everything. So I really appreciate you taking the time out and just running me through.
Oh, this is so much fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We'll have to
Thank you
do it
so
again.
much.
We'll have to do it again
Yeah.
at some point. I would love to get into next time maybe a bit more of like your story and what your passion is and everything like that keeps you going. That would be awesome. So if you're up for that,
I could answer it in one sentence to answer that question.
yeah.
I'm a failed tour player. I did not make it, and I tried to play on the PGA Tour. I did everything that I possibly could, and being a college golf coach is my opportunity to help a generation of people have the same positive experience I had going to US college, but then also the kids that are more serious and want to get on that track and want to try playing professional golf, just have them maybe do the best things that I did, but avoid some of the things that prevented me from going as far as I wanted to go.
So shared experience to create better people, which is amazing.
And then selfishly, I've gotten to learn so much from these kids that I've coached. Like, I think that's sometimes I go to work and I really do. Like, you end up in these unbelievable places, meeting people that you never thought that you would. And then sometimes you're around, you're sitting there coaching these kids that it's like, God, this kid's 19 years old and he plays golf like I never could. He plays, he can do things that I've never seen anybody do. So when you get to coach kids like that, you kind of pinch yourself and you're like, this is pretty cool. I get to do this, but also it's just, I think there's so many different people that are on a different pathway and a different journey, and to try to meet those kids where they are and just help make sure that they have a great experience, and that they improve and they get better, and that this is something that they can look back and in 50 years and tell their kids and their grandkids about and be really proud that they did it. I think that's another kind of cool part of it.
I love that. You can see your passion, like the way you've spoken about it, your passion sort of oozes out basically when you're talking about the whole system and, and it's great. It's lovely. It's lovely to hear because, like I said, you feel relatively detached from the idea of it, but you see the products of the people that are coming from it and you think, well, they must be doing something right. And, it's just great to hear that these kids are on a pathway to just being, number one, better human beings, but obviously to reach their potential of just being the best golfers they possibly can be, which is great.
Yeah, I think the other thing, last thing I'll leave you with social media and what you just said. If kids over there are interested, I think one of the best ways to go about it is to just find the kids that are 1, 2, 3 years older than you from your town or the next town over, the people DM them. Like, literally, just you'd be surprised if you just DM a kid. Maybe it's even a name that you've heard, that somebody that you looked up to in junior golf, and you just want to know about the process. If you just DM'd like 5 college golfers, I'll bet a lot of them would come back and give you great feedback to think about. So there's also great people that help kids through the recruiting process, but that social media is an area where shoot your shot. You
Yeah,
never know. You might get some responses that are really helpful in the process.
absolutely. Yeah,
It's
no,
an
I mean
overwhelming
that's
process for sure.
echo that sentiment. I mean, that's how this conversation's happened. Everyone that's listening, it
Yeah.
is just
Right.
shooting a DM over. I've had plenty of rejections, plenty of no's in the past. I'm fine. I'm still here. I'm still breathing. I'm all good. And
Right.
that's the worst that can happen,
Right.
isn't it? So don't be scared of it.
Right, man.
That's a
Yeah.
great point, Mark. Love that.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I appreciate your time. I hope you are able to enjoy the dinner this evening. Enjoy it, and
Yeah, we'll do.
and I hope the
I'm gonna
travel,
go
everything
pack
goes
now.
well. And
Yeah.
thanks so much, Mark. Hopefully, we'll catch up again in the future.
Right on.
Appreciate it.
Thanks again.
Thanks, Mark.
Appreciate
Cheers,
the
mate.
time. See ya.